Hi, my name is Bruce Schwartz, and I'm the owner of Pima Dental Family Cosmetic and Implant Dentistry. I'm originally from Brooklyn, New York, and I've lived in multiple states, but now my paths have brought me here to Scottsdale, Arizona, which I've called home since 1997.
So tell me, why did you get into your business? Why did you start your business?
Why did I start my business in dentistry?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, why did I become a dentist? I guess we have to go back to that. I was raised by a middle-class family in Brooklyn that always encouraged me ever since I was a small child. You're going to go to college. You're going to be a doctor. You're going to go to college. You're going to be a doctor. And it's just drilled into your head, and you become brainwashed, I guess. I did very well in the sciences and math, and when I got to college at 16, I'm still young. I'm still developing into an adult. I'm really young in college. So I just stayed with what I was good at, and that was biology, chemistry, and the maths and sciences. Within a year, I'm now pre-med, and I'm deciding what am I going to do. I'm really young. I'm 18 years old now, and I'm thinking about where do I apply for med school, and I'm thinking I'm too young for this. It's not something I really want to do. Being a doctor takes on a lot of responsibility, and you know, at seeing the way my dad worked, and he lived to work, and he worked 60 hours a week, sometimes more, and I wanted to work to live, not live to work. And being a medical doctor, you are 7 days a week, you're on call, and you're married to your job. So I thought about that, and I had met other people that were thinking about dentistry and the lifestyle that it would provide, where you can be a doctor, but yet you can also have the freedom to work when you want to work, have that 4-day-a-week work week, have a lot of time to spend with your friends and family. And that means a lot more to me, spending time with my friends and family, than working and just accumulating this massive income with a job and having the title. So that's why I chose dentistry. And I moved here in 1997. I was practicing in San Antonio, Texas for the first 2 years. Unfortunately, my mom passed away, and my dad was living close by here in Las Vegas. And this was an up-and-coming city. I visited here in '96, and the first thing I saw when I came here was Camelback Mountain. And my favorite quote has always been by Julius Caesar. Veni Vidi Vici. I came, I saw, I conquered. I came here, within a day I saw Camelback Mountain, and I said, I want to live here. This is where I want to set up my practice at some point and just finish my career. And that's what I did. I moved here 7 months later on Memorial Day weekend of '97. In November, I signed my lease for a dental practice, which was an abandoned dental practice that had no patients, and so I'm gonna wing it. This is what I'm gonna do.
So what were the first fears that you had to overcome to get started?
Good question. I'm gonna put a spin on that. What fears didn't I have? I came from San Antonio with a U-Haul truck pulling my car, and in that truck was some furniture that I had picked up secondhand. That's all that I owned. And I found an apartment, drove the U-Haul truck up to an apartment complex on 56th Street in Shea, and I found an apartment, and I moved in. I met a couple of friends over the next few weeks, and quickly I met a couple of dentists, and we all had a little bit in common, and one of the things were we really didn't have anything. So we nicknamed ourselves the homeless dentists, because all we had was the apartment and a few little belongings. So for me to open up a practice, what fear did I have? I had nothing to lose. I was like, the analogy I'll compare myself to was like a child who's jumping off a 30-foot diving board. He's jumping off, smiling and laughing. Or me as a teenager or in my 20s, I wouldn't hesitate to get on a motorcycle and take it up to 130, 140, 150 miles an hour. But now, as an adult at 48, you think a lot differently. That motorcycle has long been put up for sale. And now I find myself driving at the speed limit. But so in my late 20s, when I had to open up a practice, fear, I didn't even think about it. I thought of it like a child. I can't fail. I was impervious to failure at the time. I didn't even think twice. What do I got to lose? I have no credit. I don't even own a house. So I opened up that practice. I ran some advertisements. I made myself look bigger than I really was. I named the practice Pima Dental Associates, and it was just me. I had to do something to overcome the challenges that I knew I was about to meet, and that was, will people call me? Will people trust a young face? I mean, I was in braces actually, as an adult. So here I was, 29 years old with my practice, in braces, and having to have the persona of an adult doctor or dentist that has experience that people will trust. So that was the fear the biggest fear I had was, will people trust me that I know what I'm doing and that I have the experience that they'll feel comfortable with.
So you open the practice and you get moving along. What was the first big bump in the road and how did you plow through it?
The first big bump, well, I'll throw a little comedy into that. That would have to be my divorce. But that was a godsend and a blessing in disguise from where I am now and the woman that I'm married to. So that really wasn't a bump in the road. That was made to happen. The biggest bump that occurred came approximately, I'd say about almost 10 years into my practice. I'm doing well. The practice is doing well, and my office manager starts embezzling. And I'm not sure what's going on. I see my bank account kind of dwindling, and then the embezzlement gets larger. And I'm able to pay my bills. I'm able to keep the practice running, make my payroll, but I'm not able to take a paycheck for myself, as she becomes more gregarious in her check writing abilities out of the account. So it gets to a point where I'm able to keep the practice running, but I'm not able to actually pay myself. And things are getting a little scary because I'm not able to make my mortgage payment for my house. And she keeps on writing more and more checks without me knowing she was using other accounts. She was changing the QuickBooks and covering her tracks. And before I know it, she had embezzled $50,000, $60,000, and I am now going into foreclosure on my house, and I'm losing my home. A lot of people had set up themselves for strategic short sales. Here I was losing my house because I can't make my payments. But that was in 2009. We were able to catch on and figure out what was happening about 6 months in. She was arrested and she went to prison, and the bank then allowed me to short sale my house because of the situation that I was put in financially, and I basically had to start all over in 2010, moving back into an apartment as the homeless dentist. And my wife, at the time fiance, stood by my side throughout it all and helped me get back on my feet financially. My patients all stood with me. Most of them didn't even realize what had happened, but I did, but we worked through it, and over a period of a few years, I was back on my feet, and we've grown exponentially from there, and it's been really, really good. Well, let me touch once more back on what fear I have still, and that's the economy, because the economy is good now. And to keep something as big as what we've done afloat, the economy has to stay where it is. If we have another big recession, that's the biggest fear that I possibly could have. But then you just buckle down and you do what it takes to keep things going, you know.
Yeah. It's been a concern for a lot of the business owners that I've been interviewing, is what happens to the economy. I think after we went through the recession, we are all a little more aware of how that can impact us, aren't we?
And we need to be cautious, is really what we need to be. And a lot of people live in Scottsdale tend to they're those $50,000 a year millionaires driving around in that Lexus and BMW, and You just have to live a modest lifestyles because you don't know what the future holds.
Mm-hmm. So, what can you tell people about what you've learned about being fearless?
Well, I've always been a risk taker when it comes to investing, and a mentor of mine when I was younger said to me, and I've lived my financial career this way: if you always do what you always did, you'll always have what you always had. So I didn't want to work for the man my whole life. You have to take risks. If you don't, you're just gonna continue on. Make a legacy for yourself by putting your leg out there, helping others. Don't take people for granted. And when you're working with people, realize it's not always about the profit, it's providing the service. And if you provide a good service to people and you charge a fair price, you'll develop a reputation for that, and good things will happen.
Well, Bruce, thanks so much for taking time out for our interview today. I look forward to seeing you at the Art of Fearlessly Doing Business opening at the 9 Gallery on December 18th.
I look forward to that too. I'm looking forward to it, and so is my wife, Colleen.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.